Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something true. If you've ever walked into a room and felt like you didn't belong, not because you weren't enough, but because you were too much, too bold, too smart, too strong, then this message is for you. You're not just any woman, and deep down you already know that. That's why you've always felt a little different, a little apart. That's why people either admire you deeply or feel threatened by you. But let me be clear, you're not here to be liked, you're here to lead. And if you've ever doubted that fire burning inside of you, I'm about to hand you 7 truths to etch into your soul. So lean in close, because this right here might just change how you show up for the rest of your life. That's the first truth you must stamp into your mind. You are not ordinary. Extraordinary women don't go around knocking on doors that were never made to open for them. They don't beg to be seen, heard, or picked because they already understand their identity. Begging has never been part of your design. And if life ever pushed you into spaces where you had to quiet your voice just to be noticed, then it's time to remember what you're really made of. You were never created to shrink yourself. You weren't placed here to run after people who can't recognize your light. The moment you catch yourself pleading for love, validation, or attention is the moment you need to pause and look at the woman in the mirror. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't stick around where she has to ask for the bare minimum. Let's get honest. Some people only show up when they think you're in need. They feed off your vulnerability. They manipulate. They test boundaries. But you are not their puppet. You're not here to be a backup plan. You are not someone's maybe. You are the reward, the treasure, and you always have been. But if you don't believe it, they won't either. And it begins subtly, doesn't it? At first, it's just a small compromise. A moment of silence when you should have spoken, a nod when your spirit said, leave. But here's the catch. When you accept crumbs long enough, people stop offering you the feast. And slowly, those tiny sacrifices add up until you no longer see yourself clearly. You weren't made to beg for presents. You weren't built to run after love or praise. You were designed to walk in such purpose and strength that anything or anyone that can't match you naturally fades away. That's not pride. That's divine order. Yes, you want to be loved. Who doesn't? But let it be by someone who doesn't need convincing. Someone who shows up without you having to prove yourself worthy. Turns out, you have to have proved yourself in chances. You don't have to tone yourself down to make others feel okay. Here's what they won't tell you. The right people, the right spaces, the right energy, they'll recognize your essence before you even speak a word. And when you walk in whole, unfiltered, and real, the ones that matter won't just give you space. They'll open doors wide. Still, this world has a strange way of trying to shrink women like you. It'll try to make you feel your standards are too much, your confidence too loud, your boundaries too firm. But no, what's rude is expecting a woman like you to dim her brilliance just to fit into someone else's shadows. What's too much is asking a work of art to frame itself smaller so others can handle it. There's strength in walking away. There's power in saying, no, I won't chase, I won't call again, and I won't explain myself one more time. That's not being heartless. That's knowing your worth. That's what it means to stand in self-respect without waiting for approval. You will be tested by people, by life. They'll try to drag you back into the past version of you, the one who overgave, the one who stayed too long, the one who cried silently and waited endlessly. But she's gone. You've outgrown her. You've buried her gently, and if someone is still searching for her, they're already too late. Each time you honor your value, you set a new standard. Each time you walk away from what no longer fits, you become a little more powerful. Because now, they see you can't be manipulated. They realize love isn't something you'll chase like you're starving. You've got your own table now. You've built your seat. You carry your peace. You carry your presence. And once you stop begging, everything shifts. Suddenly, those who overlooked you are stunned by your silence. Your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. That's when the realization hits them. You were never just another woman. You were the gift they didn't know how to handle. The one who filled the room with meaning, even when quiet. Now, you're moving forward, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. Not because you stopped loving, but because you started loving yourself more deeply. You didn't lose your softness, you just placed stronger protection around it. You didn't quit, you matured. And now, you don't beg, you don't run after, you draw in, you rise, you align. That's what happens when a woman truly understands her identity. That's what happens when she stops asking to sit at the table and builds her own throne. So remind yourself this: I'm not made to beg. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever, because I am not average. And begging, that's for those who've forgotten their strength. I haven't. And that's because I remain faith. Come her down. Come her down. Just because I remain faith. The moment you stop comparing yourself, your power multiplies. The world will try to throw distractions. It'll whisper that her beauty lessens yours, that her success means there's no room left for you. But it's all a lie, a tactic to keep your eyes off your own journey. You were never designed to race anyone but the woman in the mirror. You were made to rise time after time, no matter how many times you get knocked down. Your journey isn't about looking left or right. It's about looking within, what she has, what she's doing, who's cheering for her. That's not your lane. Your business is your growth, your rhythm, your path. They want you to compete because it keeps you distracted, it keeps you questioning, it keeps you small. But a woman who chooses to grow instead of compete, that woman is a force. She wakes up asking, how can I be better than yesterday? She doesn't have time for comparison. She's too focused, too grounded, too centered. Because real women don't battle each other. Not for likes, not for love, and definitely not for respect. Respect isn't something you chase, it's something you embody. And you don't need to step on anyone to rise. Your light doesn't require someone else's to dim. It was made to shine in your own season, in your own way, with your own fire. Let them run after trends. Let them beg for approval. You keep building, you keep growing. Because while others perform, you transform. Quietly, intentionally, powerfully. No spotlight needed. And why does that matter? Because true growth doesn't make noise. It doesn't ask for applause. It happens in the silence, in the stillness, in the shadows. But you keep showing up. You keep moving forward because your journey is yours alone. The only person you need to outgrow is the woman you used to be. The one who settled. The one who second-guessed. The one who apologized for being too much. You owe her. You owe her the healing. You owe her the rise. Because none of that pain was wasted. None of that waiting was in vain. You compete, you elevate. And the woman who evolves, she's untouchable. Her growth doesn't need to be shouted. It's written in her posture, in her standards, in her calm power. She doesn't react. She responds. She doesn't shatter. She bends and returns stronger. She doesn't chase the spotlight. She becomes it. Yes, when you evolve, some people will feel uneasy. Not because of anything you did, but because your rise reveals their standstill. Your focus exposes their distractions. Your confidence shakes their comfort. But their discomfort is not your burden. You weren't sent here to make people comfortable in their smallness. You were sent to expand, to stretch, to elevate. That's what evolution does. It removes limits. It tears down ceilings. Competition tries to box you in. Evolution sets you free. Let them try to replicate. Let them try to compare. But know this, your journey is one of a kind. They might copy your style, but they'll never carry your spirit. They might borrow your words, but they'll never capture your soul. Because real evolution, that happens inside. And that can't be stolen. So stop refreshing her page. Stop doubting your path. Stop thinking you're behind. You're not behind. You're in bloom. And blooming takes time, it takes tears, it takes silence. But it's worth it. Because when you finally become all you're meant to be, you won't need praise to feel powerful. This isn't about who's ahead, it's about who's aligned. It's not about who's louder, it's about who's rooted. And the deeper you grow, the less the noise matters. So the next time someone tries to drag you into a contest you never signed up for, don't even look their way. Just breathe and remind yourself, I don't compete, I grow. And then turn around and walk. Walk with elegance, walk with strength. Walk like the woman you're becoming. Because she's not ordinary, she's unstoppable. Because once a woman truly knows her value, she stops asking. She simply becomes, showing up for people who treat your presence like it's nothing special. You stop. You stop entertaining conversations that wear you down. You stop giving your time, your heart, your spirit, your soul to people who haven't earned that part of you. Let me say it clearly. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone qualifies for your energy. You are not a lower version of yourself. You are not supposed to be on sale for people who can't afford the true value of what you carry. And once you finally understand that, once you truly get how precious your peace is, how valuable your time is, how sacred your love is, you begin to move differently. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop showing up for those who only reach out when they need something. You stop overgiving to people who wouldn't do half the same for you. You stop trying to prove your worth to those who are blind to it. Being available to everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. Some people only want your light so they can sit in its glow, but they never plan to give anything back. They take, they drain, they disappear, and then you wonder why you feel so tired, so empty, so out of touch. It's because you've been handing out pieces of your soul to people who haven't done a thing to earn it. Your energy isn't just a mood, it's a resource, a sacred currency. And you got to stop spending it on people who never give back. You've got dreams, goals, a calling. You can't afford to pour everything into people who only give you crumbs. You can't afford to be emotionally generous with people who are emotionally unavailable. That's not being harsh, it's being wise. That's not bitterness, it's boundaries. You've cried too many nights, you've given too many passes, you've ignored too many warning signs. Now it's time to guard your energy like your future depends on it. Because it does. Your peace is holy. Your thoughts are valuable. Your time is gold. And if someone can't honor that, they don't need to be near you. Don't let guilt trap you in places that drain you. Don't let fear of being too much make you lower your standards. You're not too much. You're just too real for shallow hearts and small minds. Let them say you've changed. Let them say you've become distant. That's the point. You're evolving, you're learning to protect what matters, and those who only loved the version of you that gave too much, they won't recognize this you, but that's okay. That version of you was tired. She was carrying people who were never supposed to stay forever. Now you choose peace over pressure, clarity over chaos, growth over gossip. You're done entertaining people who only show up when it's easy for them. You're done arguing with people who don't want to understand. You're done showing up to conversations, events, or relationships that don't line up with where you're going, because your energy is not for discount. It's not for lease. It's earned. Let them call you selfish. That's fine. You have the full right to choose you. You have the full right to say no with no explanation. You have the right to go quiet when everything around you gets loud. You don't owe anyone your calm. You don't owe anyone your presence. And you surely don't owe anyone your power. People will take as much as you let them. They'll drain you and then act surprised when you're empty. That's why you must guard your energy like treasure, because it is. Your emotional, mental, and spiritual health is not open for debate. You've spent enough years pouring into others and leaving yourself dry. That chapter is done. Now you pour into you. Now you nourish your own soul. Now you say, I care about you, but I care about me more. Now you realize that letting people into your space is a gift, not something they're entitled to. And if they can't meet you with honesty, respect, and intention, release them. Don't keep watering what refuses to grow. Don't fight for a place in someone's life who treats you like a backup plan. Don't stay loyal to people who only show up when it's convenient. You're not being cold. You're being clear. And clarity is power. So next time someone steps into your space, ask yourself, can they handle my energy? If the answer is no, keep walking. Because you're no longer in the habit of shrinking to make others feel tall. You've grown, you've awakened, you know your value now. And a woman who knows her value, she's unshakable. She doesn't beg, she doesn't chase, she chooses. She moves with purpose. She carries herself like her time is rare, because it is. And so is she. And if that truth didn't hit your spirit, read it again, and this time mean it. Because too many women, strong, brilliant, divine women, have spent too many years making themselves smaller so the insecure could feel big, hiding their gifts so others wouldn't feel left behind, going quiet so someone else's ego wouldn't feel exposed, holding back their greatness just to fit into places too small for their light. That ends now. You weren't created to be invisible. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't designed to be ordinary. There is something unique about you, something powerful, something heavenly. When you walk into a space, your energy changes the whole atmosphere. People sense you before you speak. It's in your soul, it's in your essence. And yes, that light might make others uncomfortable, but that's not your weight to carry. It's not pride, it's purpose. You know who you are now. You've done the inner healing. You've faced your storms. You've cried in silence. You've walked through fire, and still you rise. That glow you carry, you built it. With strength, with tears, with faith, and with a resilience the world can't explain. So why dim it? Why pretend to be less than you are? Why quiet your voice just to let others speak louder? Too many people ask you to be humble, but what they really want is for you to disappear. They don't want humility. They want you hidden. They want your silence so their noise can dominate. They want your weakness so they can feel important. But when you shine, when you really shine, it exposes what they've avoided. It reminds them they haven't done their own work. And instead of rising, they try to guilt you into shrinking. That's not your assignment. That's not your burden. Your calling is to be bold, to be the woman who moves in purpose, even if that makes others uneasy. Your light is not a pillow for those who want to stay asleep. It's a torch for those ready to wake up. Dimming it helps no one. Shrinking serves nothing. Playing small just keeps you stuck. You weren't made for average. You're not here just to get by. You're here to shift things, to rise, to build, to shine. Stop apologizing for your strength. Stop making yourself easier to swallow. Stop pretending you don't know your worth when you fought so hard to discover it. You've overcome things that would have broken others. You've sat in rooms that tried to silence your voice. You've carried pain with grace. And now that you've found your rhythm, your courage, your shine, don't lose it, trying to make others feel safe in their comfort zone. Let them talk. Let them walk away. Let them think what they want. They were never meant to walk the full journey with you. The ones who are meant for you, they won't be scared of your fire. They'll stand with you in it. They'll push you to shine brighter. They won't ask you to tone it down. They'll ask how they can rise with you. Because when one woman shines, it gives the others around her permission to do the same. This isn't about ego, it's about legacy. Every time you rise, you give the next woman something to reach for. You show her it's okay to be seen, to speak boldly, to lead without apology. You become the evidence that power and softness can live together, that you can be both fierce and kind, both gentle and unstoppable. You will not shrink, not for a man, not for family, not for anyone who is too small to handle your truth. Because you weren't made to disappear. You were born to lead, to guide, to build. If your light is too bright, let them look away. You didn't come this far just to dim again. You didn't make it out of the dark to stay quiet inside it. You are light. You are strength. You are impossible to ignore. So walk in that. Speak from that. Love from that. Shine like the storm didn't shake you. Shine like the world can't break you. Shine like that crown on your head was crafted just for you, because it was. And when someone tries to dim your light, smile. Step back and say, I refuse to shrink just so you can stay comfortable in the shadows. Let that settle in your soul, because if you're not an ordinary woman, you already learned this the hard way. The hard way taught you that chasing approval from those who never saw you only leaves you empty. That trying to impress people who wouldn't lift a finger for you is a losing game. That living for the world's applause while your soul screams for peace isn't living at all. It's performing. And you weren't born to perform, you were created to walk in purpose. And there comes a time in every woman's life when she stops chasing applause and starts chasing alignment. That's where your real power begins. That's where extraordinary lies. Because when you stop seeking validation, you start choosing yourself. You start protecting your space. You stop begging for understanding. You stop waiting for permission to live out loud, to think big, to speak truth. Peace isn't an accident. It's a choice, a lifestyle, a decision. And now you choose you. Sometimes the most powerful response you can give is silence. Sometimes the strongest move you'll ever make is walking away. Not replying to the disrespect. Not chasing those who chose to leave. Not proving your value. That's how you protect your peace. And peace might cost you people, but it will never cost you your soul. When you're a rare kind of woman, your energy becomes precious. Your time becomes sacred. Your presence becomes unique. And not everyone deserves that. Not everyone has earned the right to sit at your table. And the moment you truly understand that, you begin to rise. You stop trying to please everyone. You stop changing yourself just to be accepted. You stop softening your power to fit into places that were never built to hold you. You begin to protect your peace like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Seeking validation becomes a trap. You share something and you wait for approval. You speak up hoping they'll agree. You give your all, and when the applause doesn't come, you start to doubt yourself. But let me remind you, claps don't define your worth. Approval doesn't decide your value. You don't need anyone's permission to stand in your strength. You don't need a crowd cheering you on for your purpose to be real. You don't need every person to get your vision. What you truly need is peace. Peace in knowing you're walking in your calling. Peace in choosing yourself even when no one notices. Peace in walking away from what no longer feeds your spirit. They may say you're cold. They may say you've changed. And yes, you have. You stopped begging for attention and started honoring your own voice. You stopped being the one to fix everything and started healing yourself. You stopped chasing people who only saw your value when it benefited them. That's not being bitter. That's becoming whole. And healing takes courage. Healing takes quiet. Healing takes separation. And that's why peace can feel lonely, because you're no longer surrounded by the noise. You're no longer dancing in chaos. You're no longer explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Now you're free. Free to breathe, free to rest, free to just be. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to engage in every debate. You don't need to be available to everyone all the time. Guarding your peace means picking your battles with wisdom and often not picking them at all. You can still be kind and walk away. You can be humble and still set boundaries. You can love people and still block access to your peace. Peace doesn't make you weak, it proves your strength. It means you've outgrown the chaos. It means your well-being matters more than your image. It means you'd rather sleep with peace than stay up trying to please. If they don't like you, let it be. If they misunderstand you, let them. If they refuse to honor your space, let them exit. You weren't made for everyone. And that's your advantage. You don't need everyone's applause to walk in purpose. You don't need loud praise to know your power. You don't need outside approval to start an inner transformation. You've stopped chasing validation. You've already played that game. You've already been drained by it. You know how empty it feels. Now your focus is different. Now you're after clarity, growth, peace, and legacy. Because when the noise settles and the day is done, what remains is peace. The kind of peace that lets you sleep at night, the kind that carries you into the next day, the kind that strengthens your spirit and secures your future. You're not heartless. You're healed. You're not arrogant, you're aware. You're not distant, you're discerning. You're not cold, you're clear. So declare it again with boldness. I'm not chasing approval, I'm protecting my peace. That mindset, that choice, is what sets the exceptional apart from the average. It's not just something you say, it's something you live. It's a way of being. It's the decision to leave behind comparison, noise, and distraction and walk fully in your divine flow. Because if you're not ordinary, then your path won't look ordinary. Your journey won't be built on imitation. Your direction won't come from competing. You're not trying to outperform anyone. You're not trying to take someone else's light. You're not in a rush. You're in alignment. And alignment, it doesn't shout, doesn't seek attention. It doesn't need to be loud to be strong. It's steady, it's rooted, it's real. It's when your heart and your habits start speaking the same language. When your gifts, your purpose, and your inner calm all meet in the same space. They don't need a spotlight, they shine from within. That kind of presence doesn't beg to be noticed. It commands attention without trying. This world trains women to compete for attention, for likes, for status, for relationships, for rooms that can't even hold their greatness. But when you truly know who you are, you stop competing in races you never agreed to run. You stop trying to fit into molds that were never made for you. You stop showing up for roles that don't match your calling. You stop asking for seats at tables you could build better. You don't move with envy, you move with purpose. You don't follow crowds, you follow conviction. You create. That's why you stay in your lane, not theirs, not hers. Because leading isn't always about being the loudest. It's about being grounded, focused, intentional. You can lead in silence. You can lead while being overlooked. You can lead by simply being true to yourself. When you lead your lane, you don't need a crowd to validate your choices. You don't need noise to feel important. You're so rooted in purpose that outside approval becomes irrelevant. Comparison dies in your lane, insecurity fades, jealousy disappears. You stop wasting energy measuring yourself against someone else's filtered life. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop adjusting your pace to match theirs. Because your journey is made for your steps, your strength, and your season. This world will try to distract you with false praise and toxic competition, but when you're walking in truth, you start asking better questions. Not am I ahead of her, but am I aligned with my calling? Not do they like me, but do I love who I'm becoming? Not am I moving fast, but am I moving with purpose? Alignment feels different. It feels like calm in the middle of confusion. It feels like certainty even when the path isn't crowded. It feels like strength even when no one's clapping. Because when you're truly in your lane, you're not stumbling over what isn't for you. You're not craving what drains you. You're not chasing, you're attracting. You're not begging, you're building. You're not hustling for value, you're living in it. Leading your lane means letting go of distractions, especially the ones that look like good options. Just because it sparkles doesn't mean it's right for you. Just because it's trending doesn't mean it's your truth. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's purposeful. You've got to be strong enough to say no to what's loud so you can say yes to what's lasting. Let them have their moment. Let them follow the crowd. Let them chase noise. You're building legacy. You're creating impact. You're focused on what matters forever, not just what looks good today. And that means trusting your pace. You may be moving slower, but you're moving stronger. You may not have all the answers, but you have direction. And that matters more than speed. You're not competing. The crown you carry is already yours. You're not stealing light. You are light. You don't have to dim anyone else's shine. You rise and you help others rise too. Because women with true confidence don't compete, they connect. They support, they lift. You don't chase trends. You don't water down your gifts. You don't seek approval from the masses. You lead. You influence, you inspire, not with words alone, but with presence, with discipline, with consistency. Every step you take in purpose is one step closer to the woman you were always meant to be. Not a version shaped by others, but your full, unapologetic self. The one who doesn't need the world to approve before she rises. So remind yourself again and again. I don't compete, I align. I don't follow, I lead my lane. And when you do that, there's no limit to what you'll become. No ceiling over how far you'll go. No question about your identity, because you won't just be seen, you'll be remembered. So never forget, you're not average, you're not ordinary. You're chosen, you're rare, you're more powerful than they can understand. And every time you start to doubt yourself, speak it again. Love it, walk it, own it, and they'll have no choice but to treat you like it.